You're listening to WRUU-LP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul.
Check, check, 1, 2. Look like a little country, some rock and roll and blues, 'cause we sure love playing for good people like you. Let me know if you can hear me. Check, check, 1, 2.
Welcome to Music Local and Sustainable, the radio show that features discussions with and the music of local musicians. I am your host, Dave Lake. Tonight we are in the studio with the Willie Jackson Blues Band from Tybee Island, but they play around the area. Welcome, guys.
Hello. Thanks for having us today.
I'm going to have you each introduce yourself.
Okay, to the left.
Hello, I'm Jim Simmons. I play harmonica.
I'm Dillion Young. I play guitar.
And I'm Willie Jackson, lead singer of Tybee Blues Band, and happy to be here with you today, Dave.
How did the band get started?
Dylan and I were doing a little guitar lessons together, and it was kind of going ho-hum, kind of slow. And one day, he must have had a change of string on his guitar, and so he was checking his strings out, and he hit a blues chord. And when he did that, I asked him, hey, play that again. And then when he did it again, I said, keep going with that. And next thing you know, I started pulling out some of my lyrics, and we started singing and playing, and that was the end of the lessons. Then before you know it, we were in the sandbar with Mama Pam and Jennifer Knox. Okay. And she allowed us to come in there one Sunday and just kick around and mess around, and said, hey, we just want to come and make some music Sunday nights. So she allowed us to do that. And it grew from there, and we started getting more songs and more of my original songs, and people started coming. And before that, we had Sunday night blues night at the Sandbar on Tybee Island. And Jim Simmons came through one night and joined in and blew. And Henny the Butcher, Dewan Henderson, he played drums. And sometime Holland Zeller played drums, and Henny played bass. And before you know it, we had a blues thing going every Sunday night at Tybee, having a good time. And I'm sorry you missed it, Dave, but the next time we do it, we'll call you up.
Okay, that'd be great. I do catch you at several different venues. You were at the Tybee Post Theater.
Yes, sir.
And I want to say on Thunderbolt?
Tubby's and Thunderbolt. Yeah, so we're all around.
Yeah.
Anybody that have us and let us come and do our thing, we're more than welcome to be there. And if you got a French fry to throw at us, that'll be good. If you got a couple of dollars, that'll be good. But benefits, yeah, we love playing for benefits. Anything that we can do to help out the community.
Why the blues?
Why the blues? Because the blues, it gives you that real feeling deep down that you may not get anyplace else except for maybe church. Sometimes when we go to church, we have to have something to put in the offering plate. But if you don't have anything to put in the offering, come hear the blues and still get that soul-stirring feeling, that good feeling, and you know, love yourself, love everybody else, and just have a good time, man. Let loose. The blues is at the root of everything. It makes you feel good. It don't make you feel sad as people may think. It can make you feel upbeat, hope for tomorrow. If you want to feel a little sorrow, you can feel that too. But the blues is at the root of everything. Get down deep in your heart. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, Dylan, were those chords that you played intentional, or is just blues part of your soul?
I would say blues is part of my soul. It's so cathartic for me. That's probably why I got into it so much, because it's more expressive and cathartic than some other things that you can find, and it is at the heart of a lot of music. You start as a kid, you might get into rock and the Beatles and Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, but then you see where they learned to play all that, and it's Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf and all that. Just trace it right back to that.
Jim, the harp is really associated with blues.
Yes.
But it's associated with rock and folk.
True.
You see it a lot in those others.
Yes.
Again, why the blues?
Well, the blues is the father of rock and roll, as we all know. I started singing a Muddy Waters song called "The Blues Had a Baby," and they called it rock and roll, which is really true, you know. So harmonica's always been popular with the blues. is a very inexpensive instrument, and there were thousands of them all over the country, which came from Europe. Most of them came from Europe. You didn't have to be rich to buy one. So a lot of people they started playing the blues with it. But originally, it was when it was actually made for folk music, which you play a different style when you play folk music. Yeah, it's really good for the blues, though.
Why don't we trace each of yours musical journey? How did you get to where you are now?
I've been writing songs for quite a number of years, just bits and pieces. And one day I was working at a chemical plant. On break, some friends were playing music, and I was like, man, that is bad. That is terrible. They said, hey, well, can you write anything better? Like I said, I always had bits and pieces of songs. So I said, yeah, sure, I can do better than that, of course. So I went on home and finished out my song called Give Me My Rib Back. And it's about a woman just so mean, you don't want to curse her out and use bad words, so just give me my rib back. Back to the biblical, how God took the rib from Adam and gave it to Eve. And, I just want my rib back. And what happened to you after that just happens to you. So I finished that particular song. So that's one of my first blues songs that I wrote. And that was in the 90s. Then some guys on the job had music every now and then. Mike McDougal and different guys like that. And so we went across and we just used to play music on our break. And it kind of grew from there. But I also write inspirational music. Anything that come to my mind, really, I write it. I wrote more blues songs, and so I just had a backlog of them. So when I hooked up with Dillion, then we just started putting some of those words to music and went from there.
So the words come first?
To me, and I have the music in my head because I wasn't a guitar player, so I'd have the music in my head. Or if I hear a tune, I already got the lyrics just to kind of flow right in there. So either way, really, with me.
Dillion, it sounds like you started because you just wanted to play the guitar and know a few licks.
I actually wanted to play bass. I had played saxophone for a couple of years, but I didn't have the passion for music yet. But when I was 13, it kicks in at that point. And there's just this fascination with music. I tried piano for a year. It didn't really kick off. But then I heard these rock bands and the bass, just that deep resonance. That's just really what I wanted to do. But I didn't have one. But my neighbor threw out an old beat-up guitar, so I started to learn on that. I thought I'd switch back over eventually, because I knew you could kind of switch back and forth. But I didn't really do that. And there's the blues calling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blues keep calling.
Mm-hmm.
You never went back to the bass?
I play bass in a jazz trio right now.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of did. But I'm definitely more fluent on guitar.
What really attracts you then to the guitar versus the bass?
Probably the ease of expression, in that you can play faster, there's more range to it. You have 6 strings instead of 4. Chords ring out more. You can say more with the chords sometimes than single notes. It's just much more fluent for me, I guess.
Okay, Jim, how did we start playing the harp?
Well, when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I played a harmonica a little bit, strummed a guitar. I always talked about having a band, but all we did was just play around the house in our apartment. Then I went to work at the same chemical plant where Willie was, and I met some of those guys. I remember seeing Willie at work, but I never did connect with him musically. We just kind of saw each other. But the same guys formed a band, and the name of the band was Kenny D and the Pharaohs. Michael McDougal, Kenny Denmark, Larry Sims, Willard Larimore, and a couple of different drummers. We started playing. It was the first time I ever played semi-pro professionally. Played with them. And then I used to play down at Doc's Bar, and we had a 100-year-old musician in there, Miss Sylvia. Anybody from Tybee probably knew her. She lived to be 101 and a half. Played all night long, drank hard liquor, and played. She said she only drank at work, never at the house. But that was her work, playing music. Professional musician, lived to be 101. So I played with them, and then when I heard Willie was forming a band, I said, well, I'll go check it out. He's really a great vocalist, and I really enjoy being in the band, so it's been a lot of fun. But yeah, I always wanted to play harmonica.
And when did you actually pick it up?
There's a story, which I haven't told a whole lot of people. I was only about 8 years old and had a really cheap harmonica with, it was like wooden pegs in it. And I was blowing on it, drawing on it. One of those wooden pegs went down my throat and almost choked to death. And I coughed and it went out, so it almost killed me the first time I played harmonica. But I was all right. So, but I persevered anyway.
What doesn't kill you make you stronger.
That's right.
All right.
Wow.
Quite a story.
Yeah.
I actually haven't heard that yet.
Well, that's what this is for.
Opening up.
Bringing out these stories, opening the musicians up to tell their fans about their stories. Tonight, we are in the studio with the Willie Jackson Blues Band. When Willie has a lyric and when he has some music in mind, how does the band go about making it a tune, making it a song that becomes part of the band?
Normally when I write, I have a tune in my head. I can actually sing the song as soon as I write it. Then I sing it to him, and then he just jumps right in, find the key, and then he plays the song, and all of a sudden we got a blues song right there. And if we want to change a little something in it, he don't like playing E all the time. He may say, well, let's try a little A blues this time, or something in B, and then he'll just improvise and change a little something. And also we have a open mic every Tuesday night at Nikki's on Tybee. And so we kind of go right to Nikki's and we start playing that song and we give a little break and Jim starts doing his thing. The bass player comes in, drummer comes in, boom, it's a song. And if we like it, we stick with it. Try to not really perfect it because the blues, it's raw. We don't want to perfect it. You know what I'm saying? We just want to say what we feel and express what we feel and get it over to the masses. And Jim jumps right in and boom. If we like it, we keep rolling with it. If not, we'll work on it a little more.
It sounds like Dillion maybe having some licks or just doodling around and you see if it connects with a lyric.
Right.
Or if the lyric connects with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So Dillion have his work cut out for him every week.
So try to do a new song every week?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. At my house, we might do 2 or 3.
You try to get them ready for the Tuesday open mic so you can
Keep it fresh.
keep it fresh.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Sometimes it's too fresh.
Too fresh.
Well, sometimes, you have some lyrics in there that may not be as clean. Certain things you can say at a club that you can't say at a restaurant or some little juke joint back in the...
Or on the radio.
on the radio.
FCC regulations.
For instance, right now, sitting here talking to you, I've already thought of a couple of lyrics already to something new.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, maybe when you mentioned something about if we're here next week,
Yeah.
the first thing came to my mind is hurricane, you know. And the lyrics were hurricane, move on away from here. I want to be with my baby. I want to be with my dear, And if I get with Dillion, I'll keep it simple. Hurricane, move on away from here. Hurricane, move on away from here. I want to see my baby. I want to be with my dear. And Dillion picks it right up. And Jim come right in. So it's simple as that,
Oh.
So if Dillion and I was working on a new song, then this is how it would actually work out. I would maybe just sing the first line to kind of let him hear what it sounds like. And in my head, this is what I came up with. Hurricane, move on away from here. Hurricane, move on away from here. I want to see my baby and spend time with my dear. Oh, hurricane, you just can't keep me down. Hurricane, you can't keep me down. I really need her loving. I'm moving up the higher ground. Then we get a little break here. I'm coming to Savannah to have some fun. You don't need to know I'm coming from Hurricane. I'll move on away from here. I wanna see my baby and spend time with my dear. Here go Jimmy with the harp. Hurricane, you just can't keep me down. Hurricane, you just can't keep me down. I really need your love. I'm moving up the higher ground. Woo! I got a girl named Irma. She's so bad. Could be the worst that I ever had. Hurricane, I'll move on away from here. 'Cause I wanna see my baby and spend time with my dear, yeah.
You heard it for the first time anywhere.
Yeah, first time anywhere.
First time I've heard it.
Me too.
Yeah, we don't want that Irma around here. Dylan does a few licks, and you have some words that you want to put with it.
Yes.
Either just as you did now, that you got up to that lick, or you had some words that you were thinking about and mulling them over, and you start putting that together into a song. And then Jim shows up. And how then do you meld in? What do you do to sort of get part of that song?
Most blues songs are simple songs. They call it the 1-4-5 pattern. And the simpler it is, the better it is, the easier it is to add a riff. So it makes it really easy for the musician to add a riff, unless it's got a lot of complicated turns, which the simple songs are actually better, I think, and they're easier to play to and they sound better. Willie might want a certain riff or something a little different. We can always work it out.
So you just sort of add a riff to it then?
Yeah.
And when you're thinking about what type of riff you want to add, how do you go about that? What are you thinking of when hearing that lyric to say, I think this would go good?
Well, that's more Dylan's department. I'd say he's a musical leader. He start off on his guitar, and he kind of has to play rhythm and lead, so we don't have a dedicated rhythm guitarist. So he starts off with a riff and try to work with it from there.
What we then have is the basic tune that sort of was noodling around to come up with a basic tune. We now have a lyric to go with that basic tune.
Yeah.
And then you sort of say, well, where can we go with this? And put a few riffs to it. And then Jim comes in and sort of duplicates those riffs and goes with that sort of sound.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people I know, when the harp player gets in there and really starts blowing, everybody says, "Oh, wow," and sort of steals the show. How do you keep Jim from stealing the show every song?
I feel like I've got my bag of tricks.
Dylan can steal the show anytime he wants to. He's good. He is good now.
I guess it depends on who we let solo first. You know?
And then again, sometimes the second one is the final word.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to be last.
Yeah, you can you can go first and say your piece.
Yep.
Express what you're feeling, and then hand it on over to Jim here on the harp, and he'll blow and say his piece.
Yep.
And we'll sing some more, and if we feel like we still want to keep going after that, I can say a little bit more usually.
Mm-hmm.
We don't necessarily keep everything tight. Sometimes we just stretch songs out, let them play out. Sometimes there's people dancing. You want to keep that mood, keep that groove going. So no pressure to end too fast.
So it sounds like you sort of just hand it back and forth.
We do that sometimes. Yep.
Yeah.
Call and response.
That's right. A lot of call and response in the blues between me and Will, between me and Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Bass and drums, all of it's like jazz in the sense that you're improvising and listening. You know, very close like that. Cousins, they say, you know, jazz and blues.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe more than that. Siblings.
So how do you work the bass and drums in then?
The bass is important, and the drums, in the sense that they really carry the song and keep the momentum going. The guitar can drive the song, but a lot of times in the blues, the guitar just kind of floats over the top as a more vocal kind of thing. And so it's important to have the bass play the right line. You can walk, or you can just drive. So we communicate a lot about that. Same with the drums. They can really drive a song or lay back a lot and just let the bass kind of drive more. They're very important in setting the tone of a song. And so we communicate a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Time signatures, feel.
Tonight we are in the studio with the Willie Jackson Blues Band, using a new song to the Tuesday open mic as sort of the goal. Sounds like the musical conversation starts between Dylan and Willie. Jim, when do you come into the musical conversation?
8 p.m.
Well, they usually just say, all right, here's a new song, here's how it goes, and let me do what I can with it.
This is the Tuesday night at 8 p.m.
Yes.
Yeah. Usually I can figure out something. I may change what I do the first time. And I can take criticism, but I usually don't criticize too much. So, we try to figure out what's the best thing to do with that particular song.
Is there a right and is there a wrong?
Not really.
No. Just stay in the particular key and tempo.
Yep.
That's about it.
Yeah. If you're in the right key, you're good to go.
Do you then layer the drums and bass onto that? How's this sort of organized? Take me through the night.
We'll start the song, we'll call out the key to everybody.
Okay.
Make sure Jim has the right harp.
Right.
Make sure whoever's on bass knows where to start. I'll tell the drummer a time signature feel, like slow 12, as in 12-8. A shuffle, like 4-4. Something like that. I might play 4 bars to start it. Just dum 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 dum, and then the drums will just kind of fade in. We just come together like that.
You start the beat, and then everybody sort of just gets in the groove.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody sort of just locks into that.
Yeah.
Since you're a bass player as well, do you sort of give your opinion on what the bass player should be doing?
Yeah, I'll tell them definitely to walk if it's called for, or don't walk. Certain nuances in the chords, like this one doesn't have a turnaround. This turnaround is particularly important. Certain things like that.
Mm-hmm. A couple of the terms you've used. Why don't you help the listener with some of those terms, such as walk.
Yes.
What do you mean by walking?
A lot of times, if you hear a bass, it's somewhat stationary, just staying on one note, just dum da dum da dum 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 da dum da dum da dum. Walking is more, you outline more of the chord. It just has a completely different feel. Just dum 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 da dum 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 dum.
So basically, go through the chord.
Yes.
Go through the parts of the chord.
Right. You
that you're in.
you hit important notes that express the character of the chord.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that way, it's better to carry a song, like a slow blues. Too Many Dirty Dishes by Albert Collins. Look that one up. You'll find that in some parts, the bass and the drums are really just carrying it mostly, and the guitar is more free, more open to express in a more vocal manner. And you just somewhat imply the tonality sometimes. You don't have to be so straightforward about it all.
And you said the turn in terms of the tune.
Yes.
What do you mean by the turn?
There's a turnaround in a lot of jazz and blues. A lot of jazz and blues is based on repeating forms. You may have heard the term 12-bar blues.
Mm-hmm.
That's 12 measures. And at the end of the 12 measures, there's a turnaround. And what that does is just kind of wrap up the form and bring it all back to the beginning. You can always hear, and you'll hear that turnaround. And at the end of that turnaround, the solo may go to someone else. A next verse may begin with the singer. It just wraps up the form and starts it all over again.
When people come specifically to hear y'all, they're expecting the blues.
Yes.
But a lot of people just come into the bar probably, that where you're playing. How do you get them engaged?
We like to get the people interested and involved by basically singing to them. And once we got their attention, it kind of flows pretty easily from there. All I need is basically one person in the audience just to say something and say, "Oh, I love that song," and then I know I got their attention. So it's not, to me, not about getting everybody's attention. If I get the attention of one, I feel like I got everybody's attention, so I just dig a little deeper, and it kind of flows from one person to the next person like electricity. And next thing you know, everybody's kind of stopping their meal, clapping, and we're like, "Oh, well, we're just here for background noise. We didn't know you guys were actually listening to us." So it kind of goes from there. And then when Jim jumps down on that harmonica, he grabs their attention just like that. Jim Simmons. Yeah. So apparently every gig he don't have anything stuck in his throat anymore. He's got that cleared up.
As far as we can tell.
What do you do, Jim, to grab their attention?
Well, a harmonica is a simple instrument. A 10-hole harmonica actually only has 20 notes, but everybody plays it different. No two players are alike. You've got to make sure the volume's right, but you can't be too loud. I've seen people being too loud, and I've been guilty of it, but I try not to be too loud, but you've got to be loud enough where they can hear it too. I went to a jam session in Memphis when they had the Blues Challenge last year, International Blues Challenge, and this one guy got up there, and first thing he did was hit a really high note. And I asked him about it. He said, "That's to get everybody's attention." And it worked too. And everybody said, "Wow, that is loud." So I do it sometimes. You learn something every time you hear somebody else play.
Different harp players play very differently.
Mm-hmm.
Some seem to prefer to use the mic in front of them. Some seem to carry their own mic. What's your strategy?
Well, when people play in Chicago-style dirty blues, they usually have their own small amp, and they play through a harp mic, and then they sing through the regular mic. Most of the time, I just play clean harp through a vocal mic. I've done it both ways, but sometimes it's just easier. And a lot of times you add an extra amp on the stage, it can cause feedback too. So I usually just play clean harp through a vocal mic.
Now, clean versus dirty. What's the difference?
You know, the dirty sound first started, a lot of people credit Ike Turner for starting that distortion on guitars, because he had an amp on top of his car and it fell off the car when he was driving to Memphis from Mississippi. And he said, "It's not going to work." When he played it, it sounded different. They said, "Hey, that's pretty cool." So not only that, and they also credited him with the first rock and roll song called Rocket 88. But yeah, it does sound a lot different. It's distorted when he played Dirty Harp. And a lot of people do like that. A lot of people, like John Popper with Blues Traveler, he always plays a clean harp.
You're listening to WRUU-LP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul.
If you enjoy our programming on WRUU-LP, please support the station with a donation. As an individual, you can give any amount, become a basic station member, or become a serious fan of the station. To check out membership rates and to donate to the station, go to www.wruu.org/individual and select to donate monthly or subscribe to an annual membership. Again, to donate to the station, go to www.wruu.org/individual and select to donate monthly or subscribe to an annual membership. Thank you for listening to and supporting WRUU-LP.
This portion of WRUU-LP Savannah Soundings programming is made possible by a grant from Sentient Bean, offering fair trade coffee, vegan and vegetarian food, and breakfast all day. Located at 13 East Park Avenue, across the street from the tennis courts at Forsyth Park. Our menu and special events listings can be found at sentientbean.com. You're listening to Music Local and Sustainable, and I'm your host, Dave Lake. Tonight, we are in the studio with the Willie Jackson Blues Band. I'm thinking what the other musicians are going to be doing when the harp player switches back and forth, or what do you do? For instance, if you have a player who then turns dirty on you, starts playing with some distortion, do you then match that, trying to do a little more distortion on the guitar?
Maybe a little bit. Depends on a lot. The song, the feeling of the song, how much space I feel there is in the song. A lot of it is space. You want the right amount of space in the blues and jazz in these genres. Sometimes they call for a lot of space, very, very sparse notes. For example, if the bass is really soloing or something, or the drums are, you might want to just play a few sparse high notes. When Jim's playing, I try and play lower on the neck, because his range is a little bit higher. So you want to leave space for the other players, and you don't want to match their tone exactly. But if you dig in a little bit more and you give a bit of a more aggressive sound, it can kind of boost someone higher, can push them a little more. You can get some interesting sounds when the whole band will push and we'll reach this climax, and the people, they'll love it. Just when someone's just screaming like that, it's certainly attention grabbing and exciting for sure. And so you push to that level, and then you have to sometimes learn how to cut it, get back down. You can gradually come back down. That's always interesting. You have to pace yourself sometimes. You can't climb too high too fast. The question of what do I do when someone's playing dirty or clean? Yeah, it depends on the feeling of the song and the range of their instrument.
That's very interesting. Building to a climax. But then coming back from that, because you don't end it on a high.
Right.
You want to sort of bring it back to end. How do you make the decision about sort of building and where to stop and where to turn and start the sort of resolution of the song?
Well, sometimes when it comes to that, we would build to that climax, hit it hard, and then we'll do the turnaround as he was talking about before, and then another solo on guitar or harmonica. Then we would sing that same verse over again and bring it down. You kind of ease it down that way. But, of course, if we got a lot of folks on that dance floor, we have to find a way to keep it going. And sometimes I may just pull a verse out of the air, or we'll repeat a different verse in the song that way. and let them dance a little more and get it all out, man. We don't want them going home without being tired. We want those legs to be tired out there on that floor. And in that case, they eat more, they stay longer, they drink more. But we don't get paid more, of course, but that's the nature of the beast there.
It's a way to get invited back.
Yeah, they'll call us back.
So when you want to extend a song, you're really in the groove, and
Yes.
the audience is really in the groove. Are you more likely to try to add a verse or repeat a verse, or are you more likely just to turn it over to the band and let them sort of...
Oh, definitely. Both, actually. Turn over to the band, let them play, and Jim sometimes get an extra solo. Dillion gets an extra solo. And if it's an upbeat song, then the drummer gets a solo. And if we have an adequate bass player, he go ahead and do his thing. Give him a double solo, because the bass players don't get a whole lot of love, they say. So we'll let the bass player get a double solo, man, and everybody kind of loves it. And then if we want to ease it down, we can ease it down a little bit, and I can introduce each guy, like Jim Simmons from Hawaii on the harmonica, or Dillion Young from Texas by way of Louisiana on the lead guitar, and different people like that. And then we'll come back again high, and I'll sing another verse, and we can ease right out of the song. And sometimes if you're actually looking at your timer or your watch, maybe you get a 7-minute song. Maybe a 10-minute song, who knows? I never really time it.
Tonight, we are in the studio with the Willie Jackson Blues Band. Okay, why don't we play some music?
All right.
Okay.
Get some strings together here.
Probably just keep it clean because it just sounds better.
Decision.
Let's demonstrate, say, a standard bass line, and then demonstrate a walking bass line.
Okay. A standard blues bass line may go something like.
So that's a standard bass line.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah.
I accidentally walked
Yeah, you walked a little bit.
for a measure. Okay. Yeah.
And so let's compare that to a walking bass line.
Right. Walking bass line may be like
So you had the turnaround there.
yes. In both cases, there was a little turnaround there. That's one of those things that after playing for so long, you feel it more than think about it, like tying your shoes or something. Mm-hmm. You just feel it, the whole progression, and so you know when it's wrong. But sometimes you have to look back and figure out why it's wrong.
Okay, so let's do a song.
Yeah. And when he was actually doing the standard bass walk there, when I hear things like that, lyrics just come to me sometimes. So I start thinking of stuff just from that alone, actually. Yeah. Well, okay, I guess we can do Big Bone Woman.
A minor.
A minor. It's a minor blues song.
That's right.
And this would be the song that when he was hitting some minor chords during a lesson is when I thought of my song Big Bone Woman can actually fit into that.
That's right.
Okay. I got a big bone woman fussing about my cheating way. I got a big bone woman fussing about my cheating ways. I found out she had a husband. Her grown-up days. I heard she had a mansion on the other side of town. She come to my little shack when she wanna get down. Left me in the corner with knots all over my head. She broke my sofa, kitchen table, and the bed. I found out she had a her grown-up days. I got a big bone fussing about my cheating ways. I got a big bone fussing about my cheating ways. Yeah. 650 pounds of love. I found out she had a husband. Her grown-up days. She treat me so nice, so nice. She buys me gas and tires. She keep me on the road. She always cooking biscuits. My baby quite alone. Left me in the corner with knots all over my head. She broke my sofa, kitchen table, and the bed. I found out she had a husband. Her grown-up days.
Tonight we are in the studio with the Willie Jackson Blues Band. That actually is one of the older songs of the group.
Yes.
Maybe the original song of the group.
Yes. That's the first one we actually...
Right, that we said that you hadn't already had worked out.
Yeah.
Maybe so, yeah.
Yeah. So when was that?
Been at least 2 years. About 2 years ago.
Maybe a little bit over.
Okay.
Mark that one on your calendar.
Real.
Yeah, shit.
On the harp,
Mm-hmm.
you have the equivalent of a vibrato, moving your hand back and forth.
Yeah, you can do a lot of stuff with your hands. When you cup it with your hands, it sounds like you're in a hole, sort of. And you do vibrato. Mm-hmm. You can do like that. And if you're playing through a mic, you almost have to have a condenser mic or a mic really hot, and you do your hands in front of it. Most of the time, I'm holding the mic, so I don't necessarily do that much vibrato like that. There's other ways to do vibrato.
So when you're holding the mic, how would you then do the vibrato?
Well, you got to change your breathing pressure.
Oh, okay.
You gotta go.
Okay,
It's harder
so
to do.
use your breath itself,
Right.
to sort of make that wavering sound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what are some other techniques that you do to change the sound?
Well, you bend notes. If you bend a note, it's a different harp. Straight note. And then you bend it. You can just make different sounds. It just takes practice.
Do you normally incorporate most of those things in a particular riff that you're doing, or does that vary from tune to tune?
It kind of varies, but you like to incorporate a lot of different stuff. It makes it interesting.
Same with the guitar. You like to incorporate as much different stuff into a tune as you can?
Yeah, it's easy to repeat yourself in the blues because it's all based on very similar, simple foundations as far as phrases and choices and chords and all. So it's easy to repeat yourself. So you have to watch that and vary it up when you can.
Tonight we are in the studio with the Willie Jackson Blues Band. How about another tune?
All right. And this is another one from the earlier that we worked out with the music. It's called Digging My Shovel. And my wife really thinks it's inappropriate sometimes to sing at restaurants.
The children's talent show.
Yeah. A lot of times when there's a lot of kids there, we'll put it to the end. Maybe they'll go to bed.
At least be asleep.
Yeah, it implies some things, but not come straight out. I believe it's time, baby, for me to lay down all my cards. I believe it's time for me to lay down all my cards. I've been digging my shovel deep in your sister's backyard. If you don't like what I'm saying, girl, I won't go back over there. Yeah, you don't like what I'm saying, baby, I won't go back over there. Then put a grip on this shovel, baby, because I'm gonna dig somewhere. Keep calling me Tony, my name is Ben. Going back around your sisters again. She know how to cook, I'll get something to eat. She live on Butler, near Talbrisa Street. I've been digging my shovel deep in your sister's backyard. I believe it's time for me to lay down all my cards. I believe it's time, girl, for me to lay down all my cards. I've been digging my shovel deep in your sister's backyard. Hey, never ever thought your sister before. All of a sudden, she just started to grow. Best friend told me, said, Black, don't crack. She's got 2 bowling balls wrapped in a sack. I've been digging my shovel deep in your sister's backyard. Digging and digging and digging. I'm digging and digging and digging deep. I'm digging my shovel deep in your sister's backyard. Woo!
It's the quietest solo I've ever played.
This is a small room.
That wasn't too bad. Digging my shovel.
Oh, the words, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that may be multiple ways to interpret. Maybe a kindergartner would think you're just digging holes.
Right.
Yeah.
Just playing in the dirt.
Yeah, playing in the dirt.
Dig deep to get the gold. Leprechaun.
So, do you want to do another song?
We do have one more new one now, if you want to hear one more.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. It's called Strangers in My Hole. Strangers in My Hole. Normally strangers in the hole, but every time I say strangers in my hole, people are like, oh. It's basically if you have been in a marriage, say 20, 30 years, and you don't even know the people you live with. Just an idea I came up with when I was on vacation, nothing to do, and my sister-in-law had an old guitar, and I picked it up and just came up with the tune and went from there. And Dylan wasn't there, so I had to do it myself.
That's right. Yeah,
Not as well.
Actually, words and music on
Yeah.
This is a Willie Jackson production.
Okay.
Down there with strangers in my hole. When I climbed out, I was too old. Been down there with strangers in my hole. When I climbed out, I was too old. pay for this. I left there with only one kid. I had a boy named Jimmy, Jackie, and Joe. After them three, I didn't have no more. No, no. Had to go out and live with my kid. She took that house I used to live in. Got me down here paying for chinchilla. Three of them mine, but the other 7 is out. No, no, I've been down there with strangers and when I climbed out, I was too old. Been down there with strangers in the hole. When I climbed out, I was too old. No, no, no. Strangers in the hole.
Tonight, we have been with Jim Simmons, Dillion Young, and Willie Jackson, the Willie Jackson Blues Band. Thank you so much for coming in, because we've heard both the Willie Jackson Blues Band in performance and in creating new music. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
This has been another edition of Music Local and Sustainable, and I've been your host, Dave Lake. Save this time for another show next week.
Well, I know we ain't headed for the Hall of Fame. Gonna give it what we got, man, that ain't no shame. Let me know if you can hear me. Check, check, 1, 2. Let me know if you can hear me. Check, check, 1, 2.